Hi DIYers, this is Frank at Alarm Grid. We're back in the Alarm Grid video lab working on the 2 gig GC3, and we'll be programming the DW10-345. This is the thin door window contacts for the 2 gig Go Control panels. It actually originally came out with the Go Control 2. The GC3 will have encrypted sensors in the future, but they haven't been released yet since this panel just came out. So this panel, as it stands today, in May 2016, there will be, right now, these are the sensors that come with the kit. So they're not encrypted, but they do work with this panel. And it does have a couple of functions which we described in another video. So we have a video on the general programming of this sensor. So check that out on our channel. Today what we'll show you how to do is how to set this up as a perimeter zone. In our other video where we programmed this sensor or introduced you to it, we set it up as an entry-exit zone, which allows you to enter and exit a door when the system is armed, away or stay. Today we're going to set this up so that you can set it on a window or a door that you would not need to have a delay on. So a perimeter zone, that setting means that as soon as you arm the panel, whether it be from the panel here, on the key fob, or on the Alarm.com app, this zone is instantaneously armed. So if you arm at the keypad, even during that exit delay period, if this zone is opened, it'll trip the alarm immediately. Okay, so this is mainly for windows, and again, or for doors, maybe like a basement door, bulkhead, something that you wouldn't traditionally come in and out of when the system is armed. So we'll show you how to do that. We'll go into programming, hitting the icon on the top right here, and then entering the installer code, which we have as 1561 as the default. If you've changed it, you can use yours. We'll do system configuration. We'll go back, we'll actually go back out here. On the main panel, different than the Go Control 2, where you'd have to go into the question-based programming to do to set up the zone. This one actually has a very nice graphic interface now, where you can actually program zones and key fobs right here on the before going into the deeper level question-based programming. So we'll hit wireless zones because this is a wireless sensor. We already have the front door set, so I can actually just show you how to change this one to perimeter. What we can do here is we'll click on the front door. We'll go first into the sensor type. So the top selection here is, we'll back out real quick. So you have the front door here, we have the sensor type, the equipment code, everything is already put in. We just want to change this to perimeter. We just change this sensor type here, and we toggle that to perimeter. That's by hitting this little three bar icon here. Zone type 3 is perimeter. We select that, and now everything's set. Since this was already programmed as an entry-exit zone from another video, we'll actually go ahead and back out, and we'll delete this. We'll reset that zone so we can walk you through how to set this to perimeter. So we'll go to sensor type. Again, we'll hit perimeter here. We'll go down to equipment code. We can hit that little icon on the top right. It's a little kind of a little cheating way to pull up, what this is and what the equipment code is matched to. It also can be found in the install guide, but it is listed right here. So you'll see 0862 is the 2 gig thin door window contact. And then we can go down to serial number. Here we can learn this in by auto enrolling. You want to have the magnet on the proper side of the read switch with the 3 tabs. Press it back. Sensor received. You want to accept that. And it'll automatically map it to loop 2 since we're using this wirelessly. If you were using the wired lead that comes with the device, which I can show you here, with the DW10, there's a little wired lead that actually comes with the contact. If you were to set up a wired sensor, it would map to loop 1 for today's purposes, and most commonly this will be set up on loop 2 for a wireless, fully wireless zone. Equipment age, we can keep as new. Transmission delay, we discussed this in the original video, but we always want, at Alarm Grid always recommend setting this to disabled. By default, it is enabled, so you'll have to manually do this. Transmission delay is essentially a setting that allows this particular sensor on this is a sensor level programming selection. It'll allow this sensor to hold an alarm. So if an alarm is produced from this contact, it'll hold that in the system for the programmed transmission delay setting. So that's a different setting in the question-based programming. So you can set that. I think it's anywhere from 15 seconds and up from there. Usually it's set on 15 or 30 seconds if it is set. You can enable that if you want to prevent false alarms, and you want your system to hold an alarm and not send it out, and give you that grace period to disarm and prevent it from even reaching the central station. We recommend disabling it because we try and first of all, we want all alarms to be reported to the central. The reason why is if you have an alarm as a customer, we want to know as dealers that the alarm occurred. There is a human aspect to operators picking up and verifying the alarm. If you do have an alarm, you can always disarm. Usually if you disarm quickly after an alarm, depending on how your central station works, that'll essentially cancel the alarm and either prevent them from calling, or they'll still verify and make the phone calls, and you can just pick up your phone and cancel it. So depending on how strict false alarm fines are in your area or how you want to set up the system, you can either enable or disable this. Again, at Alarm Grid, we recommend that our customers disable this feature so that we get alarms immediately. We find it to be a little bit more secure, and we want to know. We'll go down to voice descriptor. You can edit voice descriptor. It's important to use the library here that comes up so you can start typing things in. This is our front door. So you'll see as you start typing this in on the top here, you want to select that. Ideally, you don't want to create a custom word. If you have to, you can. It'll come through on alarm.com and things like that, but it will not, and it'll show on the keypad, it will not voice enunciate. So we'll set this as front door, and I'll show you what I mean by voice enunciate in just a second here. We can go down to sensor reports. We always want to enable this reporting. If this was a monitor zone that you didn't want to send signals to the central station, you just wanted text to alarm.com, you could disable this, maybe for a closet with some sort of valuables in there that you didn't really necessarily want an alarm, but you want to know when maybe your children are going to the liquor cabinet or whatever it may be. We can go down to Censor Supervised. We always want this to be supervised. The only time you want to disable supervision is maybe on a key fob, or maybe a panic button that somebody carries around with them and leaves the premise. You'd want to disable that because the panel will look for it and throw a trouble saying that, hey, I can't see this sensor. For anything that's on a door, window, motion detector, anything that's going to stay on the premise or within the premise, you want to enable the supervision so that if this ever goes offline, maybe batteries die or it fails to check in for wireless interference reasons or whatever it may be, we want to know, and we want to know that it's no longer speaking, so we can, so the alarm company can deal with it and figure out what's going on there. The last selection here is Sensor Chime. So this is where you can program the chime tone and the voice enunciation. So there's a few different. You can either do voice only. You can do chime only on some of these if you just choose ding dong 1, ding dong, and then there's also both. You can set up ding dong and voice, chime and voice. You can kind of go through these tones and listen to them on the keypad, as you're going through here. But yeah, basically, traditionally on doors, we would just set ding dong 1 and voice. That way you have both. And then we can, at this point, we can hit return to system config. You'll see that the wireless zones is now in amber or orange, and that means that there's been a change made. We'll back out. It'll show you the changes that you've made here. This zone is now on perimeter, not entry exit. So it's going to be an instant alarm. And everything else here we set, loop 2 with the serial number, with the chime and voice enunciation. And we can go ahead and save that. And that will lock in the change. And then what we can do after this restarting security process, symbol goes away and it says ready to arm. We can open this. It'll show here front door is open, and the fault is now reporting. We'll close this, says ready to arm again. So that's how you program a sensor, specifically the DW10-345, as a perimeter zone. If you have any other questions regarding perimeter programming, zone programming, or anything else on the 2 gig GC3, you can email us at support@alarmgrid.com. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel.